How God Deals with Those Who Hurt You by Earl Nightingale. Lesson 1. The Power Within Your Mind. Imagine, if you will, a garden. Not just any garden, but the garden of your mind. This garden produces what you plant in it, no more and no less. The seeds you plant today become the reality you live tomorrow. This, my friend, is the first and perhaps most important principle in understanding how God deals with those who hurt you. What you think about consistently becomes your reality. It's a simple truth, yet one of the most powerful forces in our universe. The good Lord has designed our minds with this remarkable ability to transform our thoughts into our life experiences. Your thoughts are like seeds that grow into the garden of your life. When someone hurts you, the thoughts you choose to dwell on afterward determine whether that hurt becomes a weed that chokes your joy or fertilizer that helps you grow stronger. God has given you this incredible power of choice. You always become what you think about most. This isn't just positive thinking. It's a spiritual law as real as gravity. If you constantly think thoughts of bitterness toward someone who hurt you, you'll become bitter. If you think thoughts of forgiveness and growth, that's exactly what you'll become. Your mind is always working, always growing something. God gave you the power to choose your thoughts. This is perhaps His greatest gift to you, the ability to select what seeds you'll plant and tend in your mental garden. When someone hurts you, remember this divine power of choice. You cannot always control what happens to you, but you can always control what you think about what happens. The thoughts you hold in your mind create electrical impulses that physically reshape your brain. Scientists call this neuroplasticity, but it's simply God's design, allowing you to renew your mind. When you change your thinking, you literally change your brain, and when you change your brain, you change your life. Take a moment today to conduct a daily thought inventory. Write down all thoughts you have about yourself for one day. Put a plus sign next to positive thoughts and a minus sign next to negative ones. Count them up at day's end. This simple exercise will show you the direction your life is growing. When painful memories of how someone hurt you surface, see them for what they are. Thoughts you can choose to replace. You don't need to deny the hurt happened, but you can decide not to let that hurt define your future. Replace thoughts of anger with prayers for peace. Replace thoughts of revenge with wishes for that person's growth. Your mind will follow where you lead it. Remember, my friend, God has equipped you with everything you need to overcome the hurts others cause. The power begins in your mind, in the thoughts you choose to nurture and the ones you choose to remove. This divine gift of thought selection is your first line of defense and your greatest tool for healing. What you think about consistently becomes your reality. Choose your thoughts wisely, for they are creating your tomorrow. Lesson 2. When others cause you pain. Pain is perhaps life's most universal experience. We all encounter it. That sharp sting of betrayal, the dull ache of disappointment, or the crushing weight of mistreatment at the hands of others. Yet, in my years of observing successful and happy people, I've discovered something remarkable. It is never the pain itself that determines a person's future, but rather their response to that pain. Consider for a moment two saplings in a storm. Both are bent by the same fierce winds. One breaks under the pressure while the other bends, adapts, and eventually grows stronger. The difference wasn't in the storm. It was within the tree itself. So it is with us. God has designed the human spirit with extraordinary resilience. When someone hurts you, through their words, actions, or even their absence, remember that the hurt they cause is temporary, but your character is permanent. The person who wronged you may occupy your thoughts today, but they need not determine your tomorrow. There's something profoundly important you must understand. God sees every tear you cry. Not a single moment of your suffering goes unnoticed. While it may sometimes feel as though your pain is invisible to others, it is never invisible to others. It is never invisible to the Creator who formed you. This knowledge alone has sustained countless people through their darkest hours. Now let's talk about forgiveness, perhaps the most misunderstood concept in human relationships. Many believe that forgiveness is something we offer to others, a kind of gift we bestow upon those who have wronged us, but the truth is far more powerful. Forgiveness is the gift you give yourself. When you hold on to hurt, nursing grievances and replaying painful memories, you remain chained to that moment and that person. You carry the weight of that injury everywhere you go. But when you choose forgiveness, you set yourself free. The person who hurt you may never know, never care, or never change, but you will be liberated. This doesn't mean pretending the hurt never happened. It doesn't mean allowing harmful people to remain in positions where they can hurt you again. True forgiveness is simply the decision to stop allowing past pain to control your present happiness. I'd like you to try something I call the release letter. Take a sheet of paper and write a letter to someone who has hurt you deeply. Hold nothing back. Express your pain, your anger, your disappointment. Say everything you've wanted to say. Then, in a safe place, burn that letter while saying these simple words. I choose to be free from this pain. Watch the smoke rise and visualize your hurt dissolving with it. The person who hurt you may have acted out of their own pain, ignorance, or selfishness, but your healing doesn't depend on their recognition or remorse. Your freedom is yours to claim, regardless of their choices. Remember this: when others cause you pain, it reveals their character, not yours. How you respond reveals who you truly are, and in that response lies the seed of your future self, stronger, wiser, and more compassionate than before. Lesson 3. Planting seeds of good. Everything in this universe operates by law, my friend. Not the kind written by legislators, but the eternal, unwavering principles that govern all of creation. And perhaps none is more powerful than the law of cause and effect. What you send out must return to you. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of a still lake. When you toss a small pebble into those peaceful waters, what happens? Ripples form, don't they? They start small where the pebble entered, but they expand, growing wider and touching shores, far from where you stand, growing wider and touching shores far from where you stand. That, my friend, is precisely how your kindness works in this world. Every act of goodness you perform, no matter how seemingly insignificant, creates ripples that extend far beyond what your eyes can see. The smile you give to a stranger, the moment you pause to help someone struggling with a heavy load, the encouraging word you offer to a child, these aren't just momentary acts that disappear. They continue traveling outward, touching lives you may never meet. God has established this magnificent system where nothing good is ever wasted, not one kind deed, not one generous thought, not one moment of compassion. The law of the harvest operates silently, but with absolute certainty. What you plant, you will reap, perhaps not immediately, but inevitably. When someone has wounded you deeply, your natural response might be to withdraw or perhaps even to retaliate. But I urge you to try something revolutionary instead. Plant seeds of good. Even when the soil seems barren and the skies threaten storms, plant anyway. The remarkable thing about planting seeds of kindness is that they grow regardless of where you plant them. They don't require perfect conditions. They don't demand that the recipient be deserving. They simply need you to place them in the world with sincerity. Small good deeds performed daily create massive change over time. Like compound interest in a bank account, they multiply beyond what seems mathematically possible. The person who commits to 5 small acts of kindness each day will have performed over 1,800 beautiful deeds in a single year. Can you imagine the forest that grows from so many seeds? What's truly extraordinary is how this process transforms not just the world around you, but the landscape within you. When you consistently plant goodness, you become a garden yourself. Your heart expands. Your perspective shifts. The very chemistry of your being changes. You no longer see through eyes clouded by hurt, but through eyes clear with purpose. And what of those who hurt you? When you respond to their darkness by creating light, you've broken a chain of pain that might have continued for generations. You've turned what was meant to destroy into something that builds. What greater victory could there be? Remember this, my friend. In God's economy, nothing planted in love is ever lost. Each seed contains infinite potential. Your kindness creates a harvest that will feed souls you will never meet in seasons you may never see. Plant anyway. Plant generously. Plant today. For the seeds you plant in this moment are already growing into tomorrow's miracles. Lesson 4. Building your fortress of faith. Faith is like a mighty fortress that protects you when the storms of life rage around you. But unlike the castles of old, your fortress of faith isn't built in a single day, or even a single day, or even a single year. It rises stone by stone, day by day, through the habits you practice and the thoughts you think. When I was a young man, I watched builders construct a magnificent church in our town. For months, it seemed like nothing was happening. The foundation work was slow, methodical, and mostly hidden from view. Impatient townspeople wondered when they would see progress. But the wise architect knew that without that strong foundation, the entire structure would eventually crumble. Your faith works the same way. God provides all the materials you need: Scripture, prayer, community, and most importantly, His presence. But you must be the builder who diligently works each day to strengthen your fortress. Faith grows strongest when tested. Just as muscles must be stressed to grow stronger, your faith must face resistance to develop real power. When someone hurts you deeply or disappointment comes your way, these are not just painful moments. They are opportunities to reinforce your fortress walls. What you believe about yourself and about God becomes more powerful when you speak it aloud. There is remarkable power in the spoken word. When you declare, "I am loved by God," or "I am growing stronger each day," these aren't just positive statements. They become building blocks in your fortress of faith. Many people make the mistake of waiting for moments of inspiration to build their faith. They attend a powerful service or read an uplifting book and feel temporarily strengthened. But lasting faith doesn't come from occasional mountaintop experiences. It comes from the valley of daily discipline, from choosing faith when you don't feel like it, from speaking truth when doubts creep in. Your fortress must be built to withstand specific attacks. What hurts have you experienced? Where do you feel most vulnerable? These are the very places where your fortress needs the strongest reinforcement. If you've been betrayed, build your walls with trust in God's faithfulness. If you've been rejected, strengthen your foundation with God's unconditional acceptance. The magnificent truth is that no one can destroy your fortress but you. Others may attack it, storms may batter it, but only neglect can truly weaken it. Daily attention to your faith. Through prayer, gratitude, speaking truth, and choosing to believe, keeps your fortress strong. Begin today with simple faith declarations. Create 3 statements that speak directly to your deepest needs. Perhaps God sees my pain and is working for my good, or I am becoming stronger through this difficulty. Speak these aloud each morning when you wake and each night before sleep. Do this for 30 consecutive days and watch as these declarations become woven into the very fabric of who you are. Your fortress of faith is your greatest protection against those who would hurt you, not because it makes you invulnerable to pain, but because it ensures that pain never has the final word in your story. Lesson 5. The silent power of patience. In the garden of life, my friend, there grows a mighty oak tree. It has stood for 100 years, weathering storms, droughts, and the changing seasons. But do you know how that magnificent oak began? As a tiny acorn, no bigger than the tip of your thumb. Nature understands something that we often forget. Greatness requires time, and so it is with the challenges and hurts in your life. The healing, growth, and victory you seek rarely happen overnight. I've observed that most people dramatically overestimate what they can accomplish in a single day, yet vastly underestimate what they can achieve in a year of patient, consistent effort. This is the secret law of patience that few discover. When someone hurts you deeply, your heart cries out for immediate justice. You want God to step in right away and make things right. And sometimes He does just that. But more often, God works like a master chess player, moving pieces across the board of your life with perfect timing that you cannot yet see or understand. Patience is not weak, it is powerful. Think of water that slowly, persistently carves canyons through solid rock. Not with force, but with consistent, gentle action over time. This is how God often works in answering your prayers about those who have wronged you. Remember Joseph in the Bible? His brothers threw him in a pit and sold him into slavery. He was falsely accused and imprisoned. For 13 long years, Joseph could have become bitter, vengeful, and lost his faith. Instead, he practiced the silent power of patience. And when God's timing was right, Joseph rose to become second, in command of all Egypt, in position to save even the brothers who had hurt him. God's timing rarely matches our hurried schedules. We live in a world of instant messages, fast food, and overnight shipping. But God works in seasons and years, not minutes and hours. The fruit that nourishes must first grow, and growing takes time. When facing those who have hurt you, remember that waiting well is not doing nothing. It's actively preparing yourself for the moment when opportunity arrives. It's improving your character while God works on the situation. It's growing stronger while the situation changes. The person who hurt you is also on a journey. Sometimes God is working in their heart through circumstances you cannot see. Your patience gives space for God to work not only in your life, but in theirs as well. So how do we develop this silent power? Start small. When you feel the urge to rush ahead or take matters into your own hands regarding someone who hurt you, pause. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, what would patience look like in this situation? The mighty oak tree doesn't struggle to grow. It simply does what it was designed to do, day after day, season after season. Your patience is not passive suffering. It's active trust that God's timing is perfect, even when you cannot understand it. The person who masters patience masters life itself. And when it comes to those who have hurt you, your patient faith allows God room to work His perfect justice in His perfect time. Lesson 6. When the world says no. There is a great and powerful law working in your life right now, my friend, whether you recognize it or not. It's the law of redirection. When the world seems to slam a door in your face, when people reject your best efforts, when obstacles appear insurmountable, these are not endings, but beginnings of something better. Consider this truth. Every no you receive is actually bringing you one step closer to your yes. This isn't merely positive thinking. It's a principle that has shaped the lives of every successful person who has walked this earth. Thomas Edison found over 10,000 ways not to make a light bulb before discovering the one way that worked. Each failure was a redirection, not a defeat. God works in your life this way too. When He closes a door, it's not to frustrate you or to test your patience needlessly. It's to protect you from paths that would ultimately lead you astray from your true purpose. Think about times in your own life when something you desperately wanted didn't materialize. Looking back now, can you see how that apparent failure actually guided you towards something better? Your persistence in the face of rejection reveals what you truly desire. Many people say they want success, happiness, or meaningful relationships, but their actions when faced with obstacles tell a different story. The things you continue to pursue, even after multiple rejections, reveal your authentic desires and values. When someone hurts you through rejection, remember this powerful truth. Their no has no power over your destiny unless you give it that power. Their rejection is often more about their limitations than yours. Perhaps they can't see your vision, don't understand your value, or are simply afraid of something new. The way God deals with those who hurt you through rejection is brilliantly simple. He uses their no to guide you toward the right. Yes, that boss who didn't hire you, that person who didn't fire you, that person who didn't value your friendship, that opportunity that fell through. Each one is clearing the path toward where you're truly meant to be. Start collecting your rejections. Yes, collecting them. Each one is evidence that you're taking action, moving forward, and living courageously. The person who has never been rejected is the person who has never been rejected is the person who has never tried anything meaningful. When rejection comes, and it will, pause and ask yourself, What can I learn from this? How might this redirection be protecting me? What better opportunity might be waiting just around the corner? God rarely works through instantaneous miracles, but through the steady persistence of those who refuse to be defeated by temporary setbacks. Your character is being forged in these moments of rejection. Your determination is being strengthened. Your story is being written. The next time the world says no, smile quietly to yourself and think, "Thank you for this redirection. My S is now one step closer. This isn't defeat. It's the setup for your comeback story." Lesson 7. The Quiet Voice of Wisdom. Have you ever noticed how the most important messages in life are rarely shouted? They come as whispers, gentle nudges that we might miss if we're not paying attention. This is the quiet voice of wisdom, my friend, and learning to hear it can change everything for you. God designed us with 2 ears and only 1 mouth for good reason. We should listen twice as much as we speak. When someone hurts you, the world encourages loud reactions, to defend yourself, to fight back, to prove you're right. But true power lies in becoming still enough to hear that quiet voice of wisdom within you. Think of a pond. When it's disturbed and rippling, it reflects nothing clearly. But when it becomes perfectly still, it mirrors the sky and trees with amazing detail. Your mind works the same way. When you're upset and your thoughts are churning, wisdom cannot find you. It's only when you quiet yourself that the voice of wisdom can be heard. I've found in my own life that my best decisions never came from moments of anger or hurt. They came after I stepped back, became quiet, and listened for that still, small voice that always seems to know the right path. This wisdom that guides us has many sources. Sometimes it comes directly from God through prayer. Other times it flows through the words of a trusted friend or a passage in a book that seems written just for you, but you must be listening to catch it. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself when others hurt you is 5 minutes of silence before you respond. In that space, ask yourself, what would wisdom suggest I do here? Not what would feel good in the moment, not what would impress others, but what would the wisest version of yourself advise? The quiet voice of wisdom often leads us to ask better questions. Instead of, how can I get even? Wisdom asks, how can I grow from this? Instead of, why did this happen to me? Wisdom asks, where do I go from here? Children naturally understand this wisdom. Watch a child when they're trying to figure something out. They become quiet, their eyes focus, they listen. They haven't yet learned to fill every moment with noise. Starting today, create small pockets of silence in your life. Turn off the radio during your morning drive. Sit on your porch without your phone for 10 minutes. Take a walk without earbuds. These quiet spaces become soil where wisdom grows. God often speaks in the spaces between our thoughts. When someone has hurt you and your mind is racing with what you should have said or done, try this. Breathe deeply and say, I'm listening for wisdom now. Then wait. The answer may not come immediately, but you've opened the door. The quiet voice of wisdom is always there, like a radio station broadcasting continuously. You need only to tune in, adjust your dial away from the static of anger and hurt, and listen. What you hear in those moments will guide you to healing that no amount of getting even could ever provide. Lesson 8. God's Perfect Justice. In this world of ours, where sometimes the wicked seem to prosper and the righteous suffer, there exists a profound truth that few fully understand. God's justice is always perfect, even when it appears delayed to our impatient human eyes. I'd like you to picture something with me. Imagine a magnificent tapestry being woven by a master craftsman. If you look at just the underside, you'll see knots, tangles, and seemingly random threads with no discernible pattern. But when flipped over, a breathtaking masterpiece is revealed. This is much like God's justice in our lives. When someone hurts you deeply, it often feels as though they've gotten away with it. They continue their lives, seemingly untouched by consequences, while you carry the wounds of their actions. But remember this vital principle. No action in this universe exists in isolation. Every deed, every word, every intention sets in motion forces that must eventually return to their source. God's justice operates on a timetable beyond our limited understanding. What appears as delay is often divine timing at work. The universe keeps perfect accounts. Nothing is missed. Nothing is forgotten. Those who harm others create debts that must eventually be paid, not because God is vengeful, but because the universe naturally balances itself through God's perfect laws. When others hurt you, resist the temptation to seek personal revenge. Revenge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Instead, release them into God's hands, knowing that perfect justice will unfold in ways you might never witness but can trust with certainty. This doesn't mean sitting passively. Rather, it means focusing your energy on healing and growth instead of retribution. The person who harmed you is traveling their own journey, learning their own lessons, and will face the natural consequences of their actions through God's perfect timing. Hurt people hurt people. Often those who cause pain are simply passing along their own unhealed wounds. This understanding doesn't excuse their behavior, but it helps you see the larger pattern at work. By breaking this cycle in your own life, you participate in God's redemptive justice in powerful ways. Trust in this. No one ultimately gets away with anything in God's universe. Every action educates the soul that performs it. Those who harm others are harming themselves most profoundly, cutting themselves off from love, connection, and growth. Your task is not to serve as judge and executioner, but to stand in your dignity, maintain your character, and trust in the perfect justice that governs our world. Sometimes you'll see this justice unfold before your eyes. Other times it will work invisibly, beyond your awareness, but it always works. When someone hurts you, remember this truth. God sees, God knows, and God's perfect justice is already in motion, working for ultimate healing and restoration. Your peace comes not from seeing others punished, but from knowing that a higher wisdom is at work, bringing all things into perfect balance in His time. Lesson 9. When God fights your battles, there is a magnificent truth I want to share with you today, my friend, and it's simply this. You are never alone in your struggles. While we often feel we must face our challenges by ourselves, standing toe to toe with those who have wronged us, there exists a profound reality that changes everything. God fights battles on behalf of those who trust in Him. Consider the remarkable story of David and Goliath. Young David, armed with nothing but a sling, 5 smooth stones, and unshakable faith, approached a battle that, by all physical measures, seemed impossible to win. But David understood something vital, something I want you to grasp today. He knew the battle wasn't his to fight alone. The battle is the Lord's, he declared, and history shows us how that confrontation ended. This pattern repeats throughout time. When we step back and surrender our need for vengeance or justice into higher hands, we witness the most extraordinary outcomes. These aren't coincidences. They're divine interventions. Have you noticed how those who hurt others often find themselves entangled in similar problems later? A man who cheats others out of money suddenly faces financial ruin himself. The bully who torments the weak suddenly finds himself powerless in some aspect of life. The one who spreads lies about others watches their own reputation crumble for reasons they can't control. This isn't mere chance. It's an ancient principle at work. The farmer understands this principle perfectly. He knows beyond doubt that whatever seed he plants will produce after its own kind. Plant corn and corn grows, never wheat or barley. In the same way, those who plant seeds of hurt and harm in your life are simultaneously planting the same seeds in their own garden, though they rarely realize it until harvest time arrives. Your role in this divine system is surprisingly simple, yet profoundly powerful. You need only step aside. When wronged, resist the natural urge to retaliate. Instead, maintain your integrity and continue planting good seeds in your life's garden. Focus on becoming the person you're meant to be. Put your energy into constructive rather than destructive purposes. This doesn't mean being passive or accepting mistreatment. Rather, it means understanding there's a higher system of justice at work, one that operates with perfect fairness beyond human manipulation. By stepping back, you allow this system to function as designed. Think of it like stepping out of the way of a pendulum. When someone pushes negativity toward you with great force, that same pendulum must swing back toward them with equal force. Your interference only disrupts this natural return. Remember this truth when you feel overwhelmed by others' actions against you. The Creator of the universe sees everything. No hurt goes unnoticed. No injustice escapes divine attention. Your job isn't to ensure others get what they deserve. It's to ensure you become what you were created to be. Trust the process. Focus on your growth, and watch in wonder as the battles you thought were yours to fight are handled with perfect justice by the greatest power in existence. Lesson 10. God's justice works silently. Have you ever noticed how life seems to have a quiet way of balancing the scales? This principle, my friend, is what I call God's silent justice system, and it works with perfect precision, whether we see it immediately or not. Think about this. In the vast universe, there exists a law that ensures everything ultimately balances out. Those who hurt you may seem to prosper for a season. They may appear to get away with their actions while you suffer in silence. But the scales of divine justice are always weighing every action, every intention, and every harm done. God's justice doesn't operate on our timetable. It moves at its own perfect pace. Like a mighty river flowing underground, it cannot be seen on the surface, but its power is undeniable. Have you ever witnessed someone who harmed others eventually face similar circumstances themselves? This isn't mere coincidence. It's the law of sowing and reaping at work. When someone hurts you, remember this truth. You need not seek vengeance yourself. In fact, taking revenge only poisons your own spirit. Instead, focus on healing your heart and moving forward in faith. The person who wounded you has already set forces in motion, will return to them in due time. God sees everything that happens to you. Not a single tear falls from your eye that he doesn't notice. Not a single injustice occurs that escapes his attention. Your task is not to calculate how or when justice will come, but to trust that the same power that created the stars and seas is perfectly capable of setting things right. Consider the farmer who plants his seeds. He doesn't dig them up every day to see if they're growing. He trusts the process. He knows that sunshine and rain will do their work, and in time the harvest will come. So it is with God's justice. You can rest in the knowledge that what goes around truly does come around. Some of history's greatest figures understood this principle well. They knew that evil contains within itself the seeds of its own destruction. The person who lies must then remember what lies they've told. The person who cheats must forever look over their shoulder. The person who hurts others must live with the knowledge of what they've done. Your responsibility is simply to ensure you don't become bitter while waiting for justice to unfold. Bitterness is like drinking poison yourself while hoping someone else will feel sick. Instead, focus on living with integrity, treating others with kindness, and trusting in the perfect balance that governs our world. Remember this, my friend. You don't need to keep score. The universe is already doing that with perfect accuracy. Your energy is better spent becoming the best version of yourself rather than monitoring the fate of those who hurt you. As surely as night follows day, as certainly as winter gives way to spring, God's justice will manifest in its perfect time. Trust in this silent power. It never fails. Lesson 11. God's justice in an unjust world. The wheels of divine justice turn with absolute certainty, though often at a pace far different from what we might expect. Many people, when hurt deeply by others, cry out, "Where is God's justice?" They look around and see those who have wounded them apparently prospering, moving through life without visible consequences for the pain they've caused. In these moments, doubt can creep in like a shadow at sunset, gradually darkening our perspective. But, my friend, there is a law in this universe as certain as gravity itself. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever a man sows, that he will also reap. This spiritual principle operates with mathematical precision, though on God's timetable rather than our own. Consider the farmer who plants his fields in spring. If he were to go out the very next day, dig up his seeds, and exclaim, This farming business is nonsense. I've seen no harvest. We would smile at his impatience and lack of understanding. Yet we often approach God's justice with this same impatient perspective. When someone hurts you, a process is set in motion in their life that cannot be stopped. Every unkind word, every selfish action, every deliberate hurt creates a harvest in their future. This isn't about revenge or wishing ill upon others. It's simply the way the universe operates under God's authority. What does this mean for you? It means you can release your grip on resentment. You don't need to carry the heavy burden of making sure the other person gets what they deserve. That accounting is already being managed with perfect accuracy. I once knew a man who had been terribly wronged in business by his closest friend. The betrayal cost him his company, his savings, and nearly his marriage. For years he spent his energy plotting ways to expose his former friend, who seemed to be thriving. Then one day something changed. He realized that by focusing on revenge he was planting bitter seeds in his own life, guaranteeing a harvest of more bitterness. The moment he truly released the situation to God's justice, his own life began to transform. Energy previously consumed by resentment became available for creativity, love, and new opportunities. Within 2 years, he had built something far better than what he had lost. This is the beautiful paradox. When you trust God's perfect justice, you free yourself to receive His perfect blessings. You stop being chained to the person who hurt you through the heavy links of resentment. Remember this truth. No one ever truly gets away with anything in God's universe. Every action returns to its source with interest. This isn't about punishment, but about perfect balance and learning. God's justice always aims toward restoration and growth, not merely penalty. So today, if you're carrying the weight of injustice, consider laying it down. Say simply, I trust your perfect justice, God, and feel the immediate lightening of your spirit. The energy you reclaim will become the building material for a beautiful new chapter in your life. Lesson 12. Victory that awaits you. Throughout our journey together, we've explored the remarkable ways God works in our lives, especially during those difficult times when others have hurt us. And now, my friend, we arrive at the final chapter of our exploration, the victory that awaits you. I believe with all my heart that you are standing at the threshold of something magnificent. The very fact that you've traveled this far in your understanding shows that you are ready for the transformation that comes when you fully grasp how God deals with those who hurt you. Victory doesn't always look the way we expect it to. Sometimes it arrives quietly, like the morning sun that gradually illuminates the darkness. You might notice it first, as a sense of peace where anger once lived. Or perhaps you'll recognize it as the moment when thoughts of someone who hurt you no longer stir up painful emotions. God's victory in your life isn't measured by what happens to those who caused you pain. Rather, it's measured by your freedom from the bonds that pain once held over you. When you can wish well those who treated you poorly, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve it, but because you deserve peace, that's when you know victory has come. Remember this truth. The person who hurt you doesn't hold the keys to your happiness. Those keys have always been in your possession, given to you by God at the very beginning. Every time you choose forgiveness over bitterness, love over hatred, and faith over fear, you use those keys to unlock more of the life you were meant to live. Think of your life as a garden. For a time, perhaps weeds of hurt and disappointment took root there, but with God's help, you've been pulling those weeds, preparing the soil and planting new seeds. Now is the season of growth and, soon enough, harvest. What you've learned cannot be taken from you. The strength you've developed through your hardships has created muscles of character that will serve you for the rest of your life. This is why God allows difficulties, not to punish us, but to prepare us for greater things. The victory that awaits you is this: becoming a person whose joy is no longer dependent on circumstances. A person who can stand firm when the winds of adversity blow. A person whose forgiveness flows not from weakness, but from tremendous inner strength. In the quiet moments when you're alone with your thoughts, listen carefully. That gentle voice reminding you of how far you've come. That's the voice of truth, and the truth is that you are stronger now than you've ever been before. Walk forward with confidence, knowing that the God who saw every tear you cried has been working all things together for your good. The hurt that once seemed meaningless now has purpose. It has shaped you into someone wiser, more compassionate, and more resilient. Your victory is here, my friend, not just waiting in some distant future, but available to you now, in this very moment. Claim it. Live it, share it with others who are still finding their way. In doing so, you transform your past hurt into the greatest gift you can offer the world: hope,